Joining us now, we're pleased to welcome now Jacobi Grant. He's a Research Compliance Officer of the Division of Research and Economic Development at Jackson State University, and has brought along with him a couple of students, Zion and Angel. Jacobi, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Gerard. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, sir, you bet. So you and I met at an event a couple of weeks ago.
Lance Varner's Barn Burner.
The Barn Burner.
Yeah.
And you approached me. I was emceeing the event. You approached me when I came off the stage about possibly coming on and talking to us about some of the work you're doing there with your students at Jackson State, trying to encourage them to engage in the political process and, in particular, be an active voter. Tell us about that.
Yes, sir. So I am the Research Compliance Officer for Jackson State, but also serve as an adjunct professor of political science.
Okay.
And one of the things that we've been researching is voter apathy across millennials and Gen Z. So I had some students that were interested a couple years ago. This project has been in the working and in the works. We've done it for the past 3 years with a multitude of different partners. And so I had a group of students that came to me and who were like, we want to try to solve this problem that is voter apathy. So we created a group called JSU Votes. And the purpose of the organization is to promote civic engagement amongst millennials and Gen Z and have their peers doing it.
Yeah.
So a lot of what we focus on is not necessarily voter registration, but the education and awareness component, in hopes that young people will understand how politics impacts them directly, and it would ultimately make them more apt to go out and cast a vote.
Gotcha. Angel, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your major? What's your year at Jackson State?
Hello. I am a political science major freshman at Jackson State University. I moved here from Detroit, Michigan, and I am the social media manager for JSU Votes.
Oh, cool. So are you registered to vote in Mississippi?
Actually, I vote back home since I'm more familiar with my politics back home.
Okay.
And I live in a swing state, so I think that it's very important for me to vote where I am from and where I'm more informed about.
Okay. Are you thinking about perhaps moving permanently and joining our state? We'd love to have you.
Yes, I am. I'm still in the works of thinking about it, but
Okay.
I am thinking about becoming a registered voter in Mississippi since this is becoming my new home.
Okay.
And wanted to make so much of a change with my vote and with my ballot.
Okay. But you have you voted in past elections? I'm not sure of your age. I just want to make sure there. So
I voted my first election, and my last election was the presidential election.
Okay.
And as of right now, I am casting in my absentee ballot for my primary election back home.
what about you, Zion? Tell us about it.
Well, let me just start off by saying good morning, Mississippi. My name is Zion Washington. I am a freshman political science major from Jackson State University, and I'm so glad to be on the show this morning. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Glad to have you.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So what are you majoring in?
I'm majoring in political science, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And are you registered to vote?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And is Mississippi your residence?
Yes.
All right.
All right.
So one of the things we got coming up, Zion, is we've got local elections. And when we talk about voter apathy, we seem to run into more apathy in getting out to vote in these local elections, which are incredibly important. Seems like we get folks out to a great degree when there's national elections, but we don't fare so well in local elections.
Yeah, that is true, and that's exactly why we're actually hosting 2 informational candidate forums on the Jackson State University College of Liberal Arts. It'll be on March 25th for the Councilman Informational Forum, and then March 27th for the Mayoral Candidate Forum. And actually, our programs are a product of the research we have conducted on voter apathy. We believe that our research is a key contributor to voter apathy and is the modern method in which people obtain their political news, and more specifically, millennials and Generation Z. We believe they do not watch conventional TV and conventional news like previous generations in the past. So we have designed a program that can be presented on non-conventional media platforms in which millennials and Generation Z frequently watch more than conventional TV and political news. So we'll be hosting our event on Instagram. We'll be hosting it on Facebook, Twitter, and, outlets that modern
Yeah.
You get what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So our events provide all of the candidates 4 minutes to individually introduce themselves and their political platform and what distinguishes them from their competition. Moreover, the purpose of this program is to educate the public on which candidates will appear on the ballot, and also to make citizens aware of each candidate's platform in hopes they will then understand the importance of registering to vote and ultimately turning out their cast to vote and going to the ballot box in the future.
Angel, have you done any sort of research to determine the student population's penetration as far as being registered to vote? Is there an issue there, or are most students registered to vote?
Research studies indicates that a lot of college students aren't informed and believe that they don't have the right amount of information to want to vote. So they have become into the mindset that our vote doesn't matter or politics isn't important. So we are trying to get out and stop that voter apathy and grasp the students into believing that they do matter.
Jacobi, do you think that this event you're hosting, this sort of classic type of debate, come make your case to the voters, do you think that may inspire folks to get out and cast a ballot?
Well, yeah, like Angel was saying, from the research that we've conducted, the biggest issue or contributor to voter apathy is the awareness component. Young people specifically, aren't aware of election cycles. So only reason they hear about the presidential one is because it's national. But when we get down to local and municipal elections, a lot of young people lack the awareness. So that's, again, part of that's what the research says. So what we're trying to do is provide a solution to that. So since you aren't aware, we specialize in creating events to educate you on who the people are and make you aware of what they're running for and when. And our hope is that the additional information that they receive will ultimately have them understand why so many people say, hey, register to vote. And ultimately that will allow them to turn out and this is an experiment here. The research that the students have been conducting says that conventional news is not high amongst the priorities of millennials and Gen Z because all the other streaming options and online options that are available to get their political news, etc. So what we've decided to do was the solution to the problem is we will provide political candidates an opportunity to introduce themselves, and we'll bring it to social media platforms where young people frequent more often. When I grew up, you grew up, Mr. Gerard, we 6, 10, 5 o'clock, the news came on, and we could count on receiving information on elections and different civic engagement processes. But future generations, millennials and Gen Z, they have Netflix, Amazon Prime, all these other options available where the news isn't forced on them. They have other alternatives. And so what we're trying to do is provide an alternative news source that lacks the narrow casting. We want to be as nonpartisan and objective as possible to ultimately encourage people to participate and see the importance of participating.
Zion, who coordinated this event you got coming up? Who contacted the candidates and extended the invitation?
Actually, our group, Just Vote JSU, did. It was me, it was Angel, and a group of our other peers that actually work within the organization, as well as Mr. Grant for giving us the information that we needed to actually reach out to these candidates. We messaged them via email, we messaged them via text message, and we reached out to them to get their email so we can actually formally invite them to our forum.
And we can't forget about our collaborative partners either.
Okay.
The Sisters of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated have assisted our students in this research and putting this event together, as well as the League of Women Voters, who often come through and provide the students different trainings to make sure that they stay aware of different election cycles and understand where to go find information. A lot of those two primary entities assist me in educating the students and ensuring that they understand where they can find information, how they can reach these candidates, where to go to find who are all of the candidates that qualify.
And Angel, you've got media covering this, right? That'll be broadcasting this. Is the public invited?
Yes, the public is invited. Of course, of our campus students are invited, and we have just JSU, Jackson State TV, hosting an event.
Okay.
We are live streaming the event. The Delta Sigma Theta organization is live streaming the event, and the League of Women will be having someone there who will be showing it on news. We also have a news reporter coming who will be doing a section in the newsletter for Mississippi Link for us as of this event.
Okay. We got a break right here, but if you guys can hang around, we can continue the discussion on the other side. That good with everybody?
Sounds good.
All right. We're coming right back, folks. We're in the Element Wealth studio. Jacobi Grant from Jackson State University and Zion and Angel, two political science majors from Jackson State, are our guests. So let's continue to talk about how do we get college students in particular, just young people, how do we get them more engaged in the political process to take a more active interest in voting? You guys said earlier that they just don't see how this affects them. It's not stuff they are even familiar with because they're plugged into so many other, I guess, forms of entertainment and platforms that they just don't see a lot of information about elections, voting, etc. And I'm with you, Professor. Back in my day, you had the 130-minute local news broadcast and 3 different 30-minute national news broadcasts. And that was it. And if you didn't catch that, you didn't really find out what was going on, other than maybe waiting the next day for newspapers. And most of us didn't read that when we were young, but you seem to be aware of it then. But now it's like there's lots of other interest and distractions. Is that fair to say, Zion?
Yes, sir. I actually do believe that. And one of the main reasons that is the case is because most of the college students have to understand the injustices that they are facing at the local level. And like you were saying, to your point, there is a lot of distractions that go on. There's social media, there's Instagram, there's things that plague our communities. And so one of the ways we can combat that is by helping the students understand the injustices that they do face on a local level, and helping them understand the purpose of local elections, and also to help the students better understand how the process works in the first place. Because one of the main things you'll see today is not only students don't understand the electoral process, but they don't understand how it directly affects them. And that's exactly why we're using our program to live stream our event and get it to a broader youth audience, because we believe that Instagram, social media, and platforms such as that nature are important to helping the youth understand the political process.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're getting through, Angel? Are you starting to see people react and say, okay, yeah, I do need to get more involved in this?
Yes, I am starting to see that we are doing a good change here. And one thing about the younger generation, my peers, is that they are turned off by the idea of the political polarization, the fact that they have to choose which party they want to align with or who they want to stand behind. And they think that is going to identify where they will stand for the rest of their time voting and casting a ballot. But we want to pull that out and get them to understand that they have to be behind the person that they want them to represent. They want to be represented by. We also want to identify democratic elitism and show them that America was defined off of this. And if you understand the things that we are building and the things that this country is trying to build, then you will understand that your vote does matter and your vote does count. And you will understand that you have to get out and do something if you want to be represented equally, and if you want to be represented by the things that you want to see as a change in your city, in your system, in your state, in your country.
To what extent, Jacobi, do you try to impress upon the students that America is somewhat unique in our electoral system, our elections provisions and systems, and that it is, in fact, a privilege to be able to go to the ballot box and cast a vote and select who you want to represent us? We of course live in a representative democracy, a Republican form of government. It's a privilege. It's a right. You need to take advantage of it.
Oh yeah, that's what makes this place such a great country to live in. And I always start with the students by I like to use a quote by a famous historical explorer, Alexander de Tocqueville, who, when he landed in America, he was fascinated by the people's ability to partake in the system. He said that's what really made it such a great place, was everyone had a voice. And so I try, like Angel, one of the main things I try to do is start with education and understanding how our system of government works. It's designed for citizens to choose who they want to represent them.
Yeah.
And so with that, taking that fact into consideration, that's ultimately what defines us as citizens. You're only a citizen if you engage civically. If you do not engage civically, technically you're not a citizen, because you're not participating in the process and having a say-so in how things work. So I try to present it to them in a logical manner And then I take a practical approach as well. We discuss different socio-political issues, and I try to tie that into, okay, well, if that's what you have a problem with, you can discuss that with your local councilman on what level to start with, and explain to them the ideal of federalism.
Yeah.
So they can understand that, yes, although the federal elections are very important, you also have local elections that dictate the same principles, legislation on a lower level that impact you as well. And so the education part of it, even when we go out to different community events, one of the things we stress to individuals is understanding the election process. One thing I learned recently, you may be familiar with, was the at-large system in certain counties in the state of Mississippi. I know Rankin County is a subject to where certain cities have at-large elections and then at-large post positions. A lot of individuals do not know that or understand how those work. So one of the biggest things we try to do is, and like Angel said, some of the research that we found elaborated on the impact of polarization and how it can turn individuals off. So one of the things I try to get the students to focus on is remaining objective and as nonpartisan as possible in the delivery of information, so people get the clearest picture possible, and ultimately that may provoke them to participate more.
Interesting. Zion, do you feel like in the classroom, perhaps in Mr. Grant's classroom and just at the university in general, does it promote and support the free exchange of ideas, or do you feel like that just one set of ideas or one philosophy is being pushed on the students?
No, we absolutely promote the idea of free range of different ideologies. We have a very diverse set of students at our university, and they all stem from different backgrounds and different cultures, so we all have different beliefs as well. So there's open topics, there's open discussion, there's not just one-sided philosophy, it's not partisan. We all kind of just all collaborate together and say, hey, I like what you're saying over here and I like what you're saying over here as well. Let's come together and collaborate on that and find a valid solution that we can have a consensus on.
Angel, you agree with that? Is that your experience?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I do agree. I take a little more classes outside of my major. So in those classes, I feel like we have such a broadened aspect of what we talk about, and we talk about different things, and we let everyone have a different type of mindset, and we let everyone come together as one and believe that it's okay to disagree, and it's okay as long as we all come together and decide that we are going to stand up for what we believe in.
How about just being respectful and civil? That it seems like, Jacobi, we've lost that to some extent in this country. We got to return to that.
Well, as an instructor, that's one of the main things. I'm a big proponent of Socratic methods. So in a lot of my classrooms, I throw out open subjects to create conversation. And one of the things that I remind the students is, this is how America works. No two people think the same. Even when they agree on something, they may agree for different reasons. So you learn more with your eyes and your ears than you do your mouth. So take time to listen to what the person, your classmates, is saying, especially if it's something you disagree with, and then develop an intellectual response. And like Zion said, those are the means, the best ways we can come to compromise. You know, a lot of the polarization in our political processes today is what I use to demonstrate. I tell the students, this is what y'all say turns y'all off. So why would you act like that when you're discussing political issues?
Yeah.
And those are the things, it begins to resonate. And like Zion said, that, okay, we can have this open conversation. You can tell me how you feel. I can listen to how you feel. And we can try to come to some medium or consensus. And that ultimately is what our political process is. And so if we can, I'm trying to get my students to understand that, and hopefully they will be more apt to participate in the process on a regular basis.
And of course, you guys know in some countries, this is what separates America from the rest. It's the reason the First Amendment is the first one in the amendment. It's that right to free speech. In some countries, you don't have that right. We got about a minute left. You don't have that right in some countries, Zion. You could as much as lose your life for just expressing your opinion. And so America's different in that respect.
Yes.
Angel?
And we want to say one more thing, that we are trying to make videos to give information to our audience and show them that what is going on in politics today and all the deadlines that you need to register for, all the things that you need to vote for, and different things like that. So as social media manager for JSU Votes, me and Zion are recording videos and showing people and giving them information from our social media platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
Appreciate having you guys in. It's been a delight to have you.
Thank you for having us. And everyone go vote. Tell your children, your grandchildren, nieces, nephews. April 1st is the primary day. Unless you're in an at-large district, then you'll just vote on June 3rd in the general. But
we got to go.
April
Thanks.
1st.
Yep. We're
Thank
coming
you so
right back,
much.
folks. Thanks.